Hello again, everyone, and it's time for another. I want to call this the post-game show of Live PD, but it's really just a quick review of what we saw tonight. Steve Beverly with you once again, and man, we had some characters tonight. This was not one of those again where we had that one substantive event that we'll necessarily remember for all of them, but a lot of characters out there tonight. That first guy going into Pearl Jam. Yeah, it was an interesting start to it, and Dan Abrams was he is so quick with those one-liners, and I just caught it again on the replay for the West Coast. Oh, what an interesting guy he was to start the show. And then you had that guy, and unfortunately, he was way too inebriated. And you had that guy who's going, 10 degrees, 10 degrees. And he said, what does 10 degrees mean? And I don't know. I don't know what happened to the other 80 degrees in his angle, but there's a couple of things I will mention to you. Anytime that the police say on this show that there is something to do with mental illness, I'm not going to post a meme of any kind. I'm not going to take any pictures. I'm not going to do anything that would make light of that kind of situation. Now, if somebody on their own makes a decision to get drunk and they're completely out of control or don't even know who they are or where they're at, that's a different story. But when it's somebody who has a distinct problem with mental illness, and it's so sad, the first guy tonight, thank goodness, it was a situation where he did not attempt to use the gun on himself, and hopefully he can get some help. And then the other situation where it appeared that there was someone who had some kind of mental disorder. Those things are not funny, and frankly, they can be very dangerous, not just to the officers, but certainly to the people themselves. And if any of you have read on the rtdna.org page in the last week, as one myself who has dealt with depression for off and on 26 years, that's not a subject that's very funny. So when those kind of cases come along, we're not going to do anything to make light of it, to be funny, to have a meme to make people laugh, because it's not a laughable situation. It was interesting also. You keep going back to that same motel once again and again and again, but the audacity of this woman to say, I don't want that camera on me. I don't want to be on Live PD. I've got a grandbaby. Should have thought about that before you did what you did. I'm one of these people. I don't have a lot of sympathy for these folks who take that kind of action on themselves. But you also had, I'll tell you what was one of the scarier situations tonight is when they heard those shots fired. Now, I can tell you that I had some tweets from people tonight saying, why aren't they doing more to investigate it? And I don't know that I've got an answer for that. Perhaps maybe that's a question that somebody could ask of the sergeant who's there to Steve tomorrow night, because it is puzzling why there wasn't at least an attempt to, and I know he said it may be half a block away. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that, but I think it's one that the viewers ought to get an answer to, because it's certainly one that a lot of people are going to be asking about. It was really interesting, the one toward the end of the show, where it was the young couple together, and the guy seemed like he was relatively calm, and then he starts going into a tirade when he says, you got those cameras filming me. What do you want me to do? Tell my whole life story in front of those cameras? And the officer was doing everything he could to keep him calm. And I thought he had succeeded with that, and all of a sudden he just, I won't say he went ballistic, but he had a rather intense reaction to it. And just be as diplomatic as I possibly can. It was interesting to see a couple of new officers tonight, and I know there are a lot of you who wonder why some of your regular favorites were not there. Once again, as we said last week, some of these people have got to get a break from being just constantly in the limelight, and it is a different story with a show like this where these officers are suddenly becoming national celebrities. It is a different animal, so sometimes they need time away from that, even though they're very popular with many of us in the audience. Trooper Casey, I thought just once again tonight, though, His conversations with people are out of this world. And if you ever, here's the thing, if you ever encounter a police officer who can, through his conversation, he's got that dry wit about him. It's just something that it's a unique personality. And that's why I think we all migrate to and like him, because he can say some things in about 10 words that it might take 100 for other people to do. Well, we're going to wrap this up tonight, but it's always great to be with all of you in whichever place we are, particularly the Twitter sphere and some of you on Facebook. It's really a joy to be with you. This is a program that admittedly it's for entertainment, but I think it is very instructive to viewers about what these men and women encounter every single day, but particularly the dangers at night. Let's all get together tomorrow night in whatever time zone you're in, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, and then I guess for the folks on the West Coast, you got to wait until it's 9 o'clock your time. I hate that they don't get a 6 o'clock live feed out there. I'll see you on Twitter tomorrow night and some of you on Facebook. Till then, Steve Beverly saying so long from the great hub city of West Tennessee.